Hello! So we thought we'd make a video about finding Parkups, because people have been asking us, where's that Parkup?
Or how do you find your Parkups? The answer is two ways. Yeah. The first way is
Google Maps, which is something I've said quite a few times. You just have to spend a lot of time on Google Maps, and the hints and tips that we found get us a parking spot fastest is to find a body of water or a lake, canal, river.
I think people must
like
just like walking around watery places,
because
there always seem to be some sort of parking nearby, and it's normally decent and a decent size for people to go and have a walk around. I think the further away from water you get, but it's like a perfect hiking area, they tend to charge you, which is
it's weird, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Although then you do get toilets.
Yeah, that is very true.
So
you would charge and you do
balance.
get a toilet, so if you do need that kind of thing, then it's a good thing. But we've just been keeping an eye on all the ones. Can't stay overnight, but there's a loo, and we just pin everything we can find with a little narrative on Google Maps to help us out.
Yeah, and that's the other side of the thing, is to start your own collection of Parkups and toilets and stuff like that. I know we've got maps out there that help you with laundry, and we've got another map that helps you find LPG, and there are services like Park for Night and also Wild Camping that do offer this kind of thing. The more they get used, the more the locals are going to get fed up with a car park with 12 spaces being full of 10 camper vans every night or something like that.
But we've also found that for things, Wild Camping is, I find, better than Park for Night.
Yeah.
Because there's loads of different things on there as well. They tell you where waters are and toilets and the different kind of sites and pubs and stuff.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to look through that first, but then we've always found that we've gone there and there can be issues. There's a van or vans already there, so you always need to know how to find your own for a fallback plan. And I know people that are new to Wild Camping find it quite daunting, but a lot of the time it's just the more you look and the more you try to find yourself something on Wild Camping that looks good, then try and find your own nearby. Go like 20 miles around it and see what you can find, see if you can find your own, because then you've always got that as a fallback plan that you know has been used before and is good.
Because what we found is the majority of the time you might find a great car park, like Mandy's saying, like somewhere go rambling and that, and it's a pay and display. And the problem with pay and display most of the time is they'll display the terms and conditions of the people that operate that service, and in the terms and conditions are fines if you don't park in the bay properly, or stay longer than your ticket time, or you stay overnight when it says you're not allowed to stay overnight.
Yeah.
And those bits, they're legal.
That's what makes it
contracts,
legal,
really.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Because they have to have it. If you don't do this, then this will happen.
Yeah.
If it's just a sign that says no overnight camping and there's nothing at all that backs it up, it's not a legal thing. It's just a sign that someone doesn't want you there.
Yeah. And this is the bit that we kind of go through. We don't really want you to we don't want to encourage you to go to existing places that are on Park for Nights, because otherwise those places will get shut down and it'll be more difficult for us all to find parking. So what we thought is we'll give you a few little bits of advice that we've got over the last 6 months of trying to find it, because we've been locked down for 4 months. And hopefully that'll help you out a little bit. So the first one is about Google Maps. So like we said, always try and get near water, and majority of the time what we're finding is there'll be an urban area, whether it's a city or town or village, and on the outskirts of that there'll be a canal or a river or body of water like a lake reservoir, and there'll be a little park or maybe somewhere to walk the dog, or there's something that gives people an activity to do, like Mandy says, even if it's just walking around the lake, and there's a little car park there. And that's basically what I'm looking for, the first thing I look for. So this one looked fine, but it's a bit of an angle. So it's not so bad though. I suppose you could do it as an overnight, just an emergency one. There are no signs there, so again, positive. It's well out of the way. There's a kids' playground there, and behind there's access to an allotment as well. But other than that, like I say, it's just a bit of a jaunty angle for the car park. But yeah, good find. put this on the map as a possibility in the future. If we're ever stuck for somewhere in the area, we can work out, you know, what to do with the levelling of the van.
I think the difference between the way that we both work with finding parking is John, if he knows we've got something planned the next day, so the next day we're going to need something else and we're in this rough area, then he'll go and have a look around. You know, I'll be doing important things like playing Candy Crush on my phone while John's trying to find...
Or making nice tea.
Or making nice teas and things, and John's finding the Parkups, whereas I kind of have to do it on the fly, because John will be driving and will maybe try one of the spots that he's been looking for, and it's not turned out to be the best thing. So instead, I mean, you'll find that you go to places and there'll be no phone signal. So you can't load your maps, you can't see what's going on. So John will then have to leave there to find signal, and then as soon as he does that, then we're doing it on the fly.
This is the sort of thing we'd normally find to park up at. Bit of a forestry thing, it's got toilets, walks around it, up on the hills. Obviously with the toilet, you get a chance to empty the toilet and also fill it with water. However, the only thing we don't get here is signal. Probably because of the pylons over the top or something like that, I've no idea. So there are two things that will mean that we won't park here for the night. One is no signal, and the other one is there's a little tiny sign on the way in down there that just says no overnight parking or no overnight camping. So yeah, this is an example though of stuff you'll find on a map. It looks great, and then you come here and you can't stay. Obviously, like I say, with the toilets over there though, that is an added bonus, because you could just pop in like we're doing and empty your toilet and obviously get some water.
There's been some, like the one we're sat in right now, where we were driving on the road below us when I found this up here.
So that's the way that Google Maps can help. Either you spend a lot of time like me, or you use it as a kind of zoom out a little bit as you're driving around and spot the bigger car parks and look at it that way. But then the other side of it is the driving around. So what we've done in this particular example, to be fair, so we don't look like we're brilliant and we found one straight away, because we didn't.
We didn't.
We've chosen an area where we've never looked for parkups before, so that it's a fair kind of example of what you might come across. And we've taken quite a few times to find one that we're willing to stay in for the night.
Yep.
So the second side of it is the driving around. So the driving around part really is having an idea in your head of the type of area you want. You might be happy with industrial estates or something like that.
We've gone past loads of them today that would have been perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, no gates on them or fences or anything like that. And you might be, okay, parking up at the side of an industrial estate because you get up early in the morning and you're out of there before all the trucks come and the workers come and that kind of stuff. And that's great. Whatever, makes you feel better about how you find the park up is good for you.
Yep.
It's just obviously an example we're giving you now. It's not saying this is what you should do, whatever. But driving around gives you the opportunity to go and look for these places. And if you've got an idea, like we're saying, sort of more rural little car parks, then you drive around the outskirts of towns and villages and that, and looking around the more smaller roads. Just obviously make sure that your van's going to fit down most of them.
We've had some fun today with that one.
Yeah, and we had some fun last week in Wales as well. We arrived at 1 and I didn't even get to the park up because there was a right turn between two buildings that had overhangs, and there was probably only about 3 meters width between the overhangs. So if I'd have turned right at the angle I would have done,
they'd taken someone's front room out, I think.
Yeah.
So
that's something to bear in mind as well. But let's just go through the process of looking for parkups now as you drive around. So as you can see, we came across the first park up there. Straight away, there's signs, there's terms and conditions, there's parking fees. Not only that, but there's a lot of people there as well, which means you're more chance going to get bothered by people as well. So that's why we avoided that one. Now the second one we were heading to anyway, because we'd seen it had a toilet, we needed to empty the loo, and we thought we'd be really cheeky and get some water while we're there. This one had another issue that we have to bear in mind. and that is signal. It had no phone signal whatsoever.
Nothing at all.
Totally
And we're on 2 different networks,
Yeah.
and there was nothing there.
No, not even the super duper little dildo on the roof got us a signal. So,
But I think it was there was some power lines really close by, wasn't there? So that's
and
what it might be.
was really well out of the way.
Yeah.
So that's why that failed. It did also have pay and display and terms and conditions and no overnight camping.
Yeah.
So essentially we just emptied the loo there, filled it with water a little bit, and then scooted out there to go and look for another little park up.
Yes.
Now this next one, you'll see it looks great, and this was almost, well, we've actually pinned it.
Yeah, we'll pin it because we'll go back to that one.
It's good for an emergency. There's a little bit of a park there that Cooper can have a run around, stuff like that. It's near some allotments. There's a big car park. It's just a bit on the slant.
it was a little bit on the slant.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it ticked every other box. There was even bins there as well.
Yep.
So that's always a good thing. But we'd have had to chock up or do some special manoeuvre to try and get at least level-ish to sleep or something like that.
And we tried to avoid chocking up. We want to be able just to drive off if we need to without having to go and pack things back up again.
Yeah.
But there was some part. There was a lot of cars in there, so there was some places where it was a bit more level. That when the car park was empty, might have been a bit better.
And in our view, we have two types of park up as well, because one might be the night time and then one might be the daytime, because you never want to stay like 24 hours around the clock at the place you're staying at overnight if you don't really have to. Otherwise, you're just going to draw a lot of attention to yourself.
Plus, you get to see more things that way.
There is that to it. But in my mind, I'm thinking, no, we need to get out of here now, so that maybe if we don't find anywhere else, we can come back here later tonight and we've not bothered everyone then. So this one that we found was perfect for daytime, I think, or an emergency nighttime. So
and as we were driving around today, we've also got our eyes out, and because I'm looking on Google Maps as we're going, for pubs with big car parks.
Yes.
And we went past 2 today, didn't we? There was a pub with a big car park, muddy boots and dog friendly signs all over the place, and generally they're the ones, if the car park's big enough, if all else fails, or you just fancy some food and a beer and stay in there overnight, if you just pop in and ask them if you can stay, if you drink at the bar or get some food, we find probably about a 95% success rate, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
It's a very high success rate if you go in and ask nicely. And spend a bit of money in there.
Because I mean, we used to be part of Brit Stops. We bought Brit Stops for a couple of years because we've been doing this for years and years. And all we found with the Brit Stops one is everywhere we wanted to go, there weren't many Brit Stops listed. So what we found was that we can more or less turn up at most pubs, like Mandy said, ask, and they're all right with it.
Yeah, we literally just found that most of the time people just want you to ask nicely, and they're fine with that, and spend a little bit of money. But it can just, we've done two halves of Diet Coke have been the minimum that we've spent, but we did get there at like 10 o'clock at night. So
and obviously the last spot, like I say, this one was a bit of a kind of just a bit of a gamble on driving around still. As we're going down the road, Mandy then spotted it over the road we were travelling on, like it was up a big cliff. So my initial thought was, Mandy, can we get there? Which again is the trickiest one. Obviously you've got Google Street View to see that, but sometimes it's not great. But lovely views to it as well. Whilst it's not flat, it's flatter than the last one, and it's acceptable on our kind of like gauge of, you know, not too much of a jaunty angle. So yeah, this spot we're in now, we are 2 degrees out, which, you know, in the scheme of things, it ain't bad at all.
I just had to help the sink water when we were washing up, that's all.
But other than that, you know, if you can sleep all right, it's quiet enough. There are no signs whatsoever about any terms and conditions of camping overnight not being allowed or anything.
There's unruly behaviour, clean up after yourself, which people haven't done, so we're going to sort it out in a minute.
There's no charges or anything like that either, and there's bins here as well, so people that have made a mess,
no
idiots,
excuses,
because
no
they could have
excuses,
just put it in the
people.
bin. So that's hopefully a little brief insight into, you know, how we find things. Like I say, Google Maps for me is the best way to give yourself like 3 or 4 options to an area, and then you drive there and then you see what they're like in that area. Because like I say, the other night in Wales I had 4 pointed out, and it was the 4th one that ended up staying at, and it's just the luck of the draw sometimes that the others just don't work out. Yeah, we are always learning. Every time is a bit of a, oh yeah, we'll have to bear in mind for this for next time. And just remember that, you know, if you've got anything that's brilliant, don't put it on social media. I'm finding that the Park for Night stuff might be the end of wild camping for most of us, because it goes on Park for Nights or it goes on social media, and then all the locals see it because it's tagged and a location, and then they put, you know, height restrictions up or
and then
signs.
look, here's how to find some van lifers going there and ban them all.
Yeah.
So it's just like a little directory of buggeration for them all, isn't it? So
whilst we appreciate the community helping each other to go and find Parkups, that's why we thought we'd make this video, so that you can find your own Parkups rather than creating a directory of Parkups that potentially then could cause problems.
One thing we have found that if you do an Instagram story, because we've done this a few times and helped people out a few times, if you're on Instagram story, I'm going to this area tonight, anybody got any suggestions? People will reply to that, it goes straight to you, it's not a public thing, and then you can help each other out individually without it being like a public thing. Yeah,
and then let the story expire after 24 hours.
Yeah.
So it's totally gone and everything's finished.
Yeah, and then it's done. And we're finding that it's got to just be taken back a notch. I mean, I'm all social media and things like that helping, but word of mouth is way better. Yeah. It's more personal, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, like, we love the Wild Camping little app, because that shows you where you can go toilet, fresh water. It's got pub locations on there, laybys if you are in an emergency, you need to pull over just for a proper kip or something like that. It's got all that kind of stuff on as well, whereas Park for Nights we found is more than most of the time we found really busy spots these days.
Yeah, so. I mean, Park for Night in Europe is brilliant if you use the farm stops.
Yeah, the airs.
I love
as well.
the farm stops and the airs on there. Some of the other ones we found we had to pass up if it was just like a standard park for things. But yeah, so once you're on mainland Europe, Park for Night comes into its own. But I think in England it's the people here that tend to not like van life that ruin Park for Night here. Yes. So yeah. So
the less we can rile them against us, then the better it'll be for all.
Yeah, don't give them the ammunition.
Yeah, exactly. Right, so if you've got any comments, questions, or your tips or anything like that, do leave them in the comment section down below. And obviously, hopefully we can all find our own little Park for Nights from now on, and maybe see you out there.
Yes.
So take care.
Take care, everyone.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.